Of the many seafaring warriors who have made their home in the Rock's Roost, all offer their allegiance to the democratic state, the very first among the known world, the Admiral's Tribunal. Offering tribute and requesting guidance and aid under the banner of the Rock, the Tribunal, and that of the Sovereign, as a state of unified pirates with their own unbreakable laws and creed. Welcome, travelers, to the Dragonleaf, the Teahouse where tales are told. I am O'Lantern, and welcome you to my humble establishment. You may have heard about me from a friend who has heard about me before, or read of me in a book that we keep here. That's the last time I let an AI write my intro. If you like the content, leave a like in the tip jar and subscribe to our weekly tales. Leave a comment in the suggestion box to tell us how well we did, or how well we did not. Thank you for listening. And without further ado, it's time to open up shop. Hey, hello everybody.
No, I kind of liked the AI one.
Yeah, O'Lantern. He's a good lad.
Is that a new NPC? I thought you were gonna give him the voice.
Like... Oh, continue.
Perfect. No voice for you.
you.
Perfect. Last time, after traveling through the 4th floor of the dungeon and escaping a horde of enemies, the Deviants traversed a flaming plains that contained an eternal war zone, and traveled over an ocean after a fight with some ocean dwellers that they found to be particularly weak to difficult terrain. As they strode across the ocean surface, they found a trio of knights atop a giant eagle, a Valkyrie, the knight from the intro of the dungeon, and a knight clad in crimson, coated in blood. They had a brief 3-day vacation, and entered into the arena for the Widow's fight on the 5th floor, finding another adventurer entering into the arena alongside them, who knew Fen, Matilda's pom-pom. They passed by the Widow boss and found themselves in a fine garden on the 6th floor. The adventurer offered a minor bit of aid by revealing a plaque hidden by the shrubbery of the trellis walls, and as the Deviants left, after hearing some unsettling sounds from the area, not leaving because they were afraid of that, rather, but simply just leaving upon the same time, arriving back in the city, they prepared to take care of a bit of business, and here we jump back in. Jojo, we will begin with you in this instance.
Okay.
As you...
Bianca, I had finished saying what I wanted to say, so I didn't know what to say after that. Okay, now we can jump in.
I appreciate the bird noises,
I misread that, my bad.
You now exit the carriage that you have taken. Carson, the person who you were adamantly confused about who in the ever-loving hell they are, ordered you a carriage and brought you through, allowing you to travel through the city unhindered as you arrive at the entrance to the wonderful, absolutely miraculous Rift Hunters Guild. You look now upon both Savras's Hall of Divining, this large kind of just Mobius building, and the Rift Hunters Guild, a smaller subsect that is sat in its wake, sitting within the shadow of the Hall of Divining. As you look in, you can actually hear a faint bit of, let's call it malarkey going on inside. Just beyond, you can hear kind of the clashing of steel in the Adamant Coliseum, this massive Coliseum that sits to the north of Amaranth's gates. But from inside, you can hear this kind of just raucous laughter going on.
Okay. This is like an open place, right? She just walks in. You don't need to knock here, right?
You just walked in before, yeah.
I'll walk in, yeah.
You stride forward and you push open the doors. You immediately see that there's a few people kind of just sitting at a small table off to the side and a large group around them. You can't really discern what's going on, but there's just a lot of mumbling in the background, some people laughing, drinks kind of being flung about.
Okay. Yeah, she'll just like walk to the front desk where Max was last time.
You approach and he takes a look over towards you. Go ahead and roll insight.
Insight check. I gotta open up my character sheet. Insight check. It's normal.
10.
Yep.
He glances over towards you, and then you see him kind of just shuffle some papers on his desk as he's like, "Hey, welcome to the Rift Hunters Guild. What can I do for you? How are you doing?
Hey.
You interested in our services? Come here to perhaps put in a bill, or?"
I came to check on an application. I applied a while ago, and I haven't heard back, but I've been in the dungeon for a while, so I thought maybe you might have missed me.
I don't recognize you, and I never forget a face. You sure you came here?
Forgotten the face. You're Max?
I'm Max. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty noticeable. It's hard to not notice me. But I tell you what, here, name? No.
Jojen.
Jojen. Okay.
Max.
He pops open those papers once again and begins to flip through them. Ooh, don't have an application here for you, I'm afraid.
You sure? Because I like went through a whole process.
Yeah? What'd you do?
You know, the obstacle course thing and the written test.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right to things that we do.
Pretty sure you were there, but you acted differently than you are acting now. So do you have like a twin or something?
No, like I said before, I genuinely do not. So you're here, and that's interesting. So let's tell you what. You say you've gone through the process. Tell you, why don't you... I got a room set up on the side here. Let me figure out what happened here. Just come on here, follow me. And he pops open the top like a bar table and just begins to move about. You can hear some... the entire group off to the side that was circling this one table just... as money begins to change hands. And then you can see him kind of look over.
Do I recognize any of the people that were here last time? Like the woman with the shaved head and the bloat?
You do not see those two.
Okay.
And they would stand well tall above this crowd if they were within it.
Okay, cool.
You do see as an individual begins to jump, she's like, I'll never lose, not once in my life, get out of here, scrub. As this individual just begins hopping up and down in the center of the group. You can see this kind of like pale blue, almost seafoam green skin, and just this faint bit of like lime green hair bouncing up and down as Max leads you to the small side room. All right, just wait here. We'll be right with you.
Okay.
Perfect. You enter into a small room. There are no chairs, but there is a table in the center. It's like a fine-looking table, which belies the kind of just stone-floored room that you're in. And virtually no ventilation. The doorway, as it closes, kind of hits the hinges and then slowly creaks open. Like it doesn't even close all the way.
Okay,
and then
trap.
No.
He's sort of sketching me out.
And you sit and you remain. How long do you wait?
I pop out Gambit just to like have company. And I pull out a book and my dream journal and I just start writing in it. And so I sit here for like an hour if I have to.
Yeah, an hour passes, and you can hear people kind of coming and going. You can hear Max kind of just laughing on the interior as he's also sitting and beginning to deal with just... You can hear him dealing out contracts. You can hear doors opening and closing and people coming and going.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go and like lean in the doorway, like open the door and lean in the doorway. Can you see Max from here?
He is currently standing at the middle, at the back of the establishment. There's a long table in front of him, and he's doing a little bit of paperwork, leaned over and just kind of frustrated.
Yeah, she goes up to him, just like, if you want to deny my application, just fucking say it. Do you have a fucking problem with me?
Oh, you have a comment? Here, tell you what. And he pulls out a piece of paper and places it down, hands it to you, and he's like, here's a comment form, just fill it out while you're waiting in the room.
How long do you expect me to wait in there?
As long as it takes.
Okay, yeah. She'll take the form and go back and sit in there. She'll just she'll make herself at home. She'll like sit up on the table. She brings out like a bunch of like books and she has like a Gambit moving pages for her as she's reading. She like moves the table up against the wall so she can like lean against the wall while sitting on the table. Yeah, she just makes herself at home here. Takes up some snacks.
Delicious dried rations, and probably some like phenomenal actual proper snacks from the Lavender Cafe. As you sit for a brief time, you just kind of await. Go ahead and roll for me a Constitution check.
I like to think she came straight here from the dungeon too, so she's just like takes her shoes off and there's some sand in them.
I stink. Constitution
like
check.
you smell like ocean, but also like burnt wood.
The 19.
19. It's heinously uncomfortable in this room. Like the stone floor itself is just awful. And then as you begin to make yourself at home, like the only suitable sitting space is basically the table. As you bring everything against the wall and you begin to make yourself at home, you see after another 2 hours, you see a wizard enter into the room.
This is part of the fucking personality test, isn't it?
You see a wizard enter into the room.
I look up at him and I say that.
Hello.
Hi.
Just one moment. He reaches back into his bag and he pulls out a material component bag and then he closes it and he's like, I probably don't need that for this. He reaches a hand forward and he casts prestidigitation over you and you can feel the kind of dirt and grime leave your body and he says, farewell, as he turns and leaves the room. You see the doorway kind of slowly close once again, hit the hinges and creak open.
Maybe people were complaining about this.
I will sleep here if I have to.
And
does Jojo get triggered by the from her dream from the step?
Yeah, probably.
As you sit back and you kind of just begin to lean into this, the early morning that you guys found yourselves in just begins to traverse down to the early afternoon, and you find yourself still sitting here. Eventually, Max begins to walk in. The doorway opens, and he's just like, Maria, right?
Jojen.
No, Jojen, right, sorry. Here, let me, if you want any water or anything, we got a well out back. And then he just closes the door again. And the camera pulls away. As we now find ourselves, in the meantime, as this was occurring, what are the rest of you doing? You have just left the interface office.
Carson had hailed the carriage for us, so I'm assuming we're heading towards that to go
As-
back to the family home.
The carriage pulls up. Carson kind of opens the door and just leans back towards you and says, there are several things that I would like to discuss about the Heart's Desires. I've just kind of received word from myself. He opens the door and looks towards the three of you. Please, enter in.
Killian, Matilda dear, are you guys coming back to the family home?
Later.
Oh, where would you like to be dropped off then?
At Mama Mel's house first.
And
I'm okay. I have some things I need to take care of in the city. I've got blade beaks, so I don't need the carriage. Thank you.
Suit yourself, I guess. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys later then.
Yeah, get home safe too.
I always do. And he'll get up into the carriage, nod at Carson, and
Well, I hope so. Someone was trying to kill you recently, so.
Well, let's hope some entertainment happens. I don't mind it.
Carson closes the door behind you and then turns towards you all and gives a curt bow and says, I shall see you all at home then. Stay
I
safe.
see him all the time now.
As you look towards him, you see him. He's physically here.
Actually, the first thing we need to do is I don't have shoes on. I need to go buy shoes.
Carson pulls out a small slip, like a slip-on, and then kind of reaches forward and hands them towards you and says, these shall do in the meantime, that you may walk the streets without blisters.
Thank you.
He reaches himself up and stands next to the individual that is currently driving the carriage, who seems like a little bit unsettled as he looks over towards them. He whispers something in the individual's ear and then returns to the carriage himself, where he has kind of a small ledger bag filled with assets. And then he enters in. I will have the three of you roll a d20 here.
Just for your understanding, Damon, when you guys when we all exited the dungeon into the interface office, Carson was standing there, and that was the first time you had met him in the flesh. Aside from seeing him once before wander through the family home.
I see.
But you never
I
actually
see.
like met him.
Okay, that makes total sense to me now. Public roll.
Yes, please and thank you.
Also, when we were in the dungeon, I got an acid and have no more shoes.
That hurt. The acid is a rough go at it. Matilda 18. And Vincent 19.
Very much like Vincent to be like, I go first, bitch.
There's a little bit of that in my head, but not at all at the same time. It was more just like, neat.
Vincent, the carriage begins to leave from the dungeon's exterior. You make your way home. In the carriage ride, Carson begins to speak up. He says, it may require somewhat of a investment, perhaps somewhere around 350 to 500 gold pieces, in order to place the call for aid or the call to arms to a specific family. However, we can send some people into the dungeon. I have found to procure, he flips open his papers, boggle intestines or boggle stomach lining. Using this material, we can create a ledger bag that can connect between planes, so to speak. Items that exist in one exist in the other at the same time. A rather valuable item, but a sizable donation would be required to the guild. Is this of interest to you?
It is. I think we can make do with this. How much did he said it was again?
Anywhere between 350 and 500 gold pieces, depending on like the adventurers that you want to send to get this leather. As you understand, for CTAs and CFAs in the dungeon, to literally call for help of another family to do bidding kind of for you, you set the quest and then they go do it. There is still a chance of failure. And from the range that Carson's given you, he gives you about a 70% to pretty much a guarantee between the 350 to 500 gold range.
Okay. Vincent basically just says it's fine. Carson has access to his bank, has his funds, so he can take the money out as needed. And you can let me know how much it is.
Carson nods and kind of files that away. He says, the Heart's Desires has been doing quite well. You have also been spreading the word substantially, and note has been spreading. We've actually had quite a bit of clients, somewhat interesting clientele as well. Both of the upstanding and less so variety within the city. Would you like me to focus in on one or the other and or remove any from the equation?
As long as they're not causing an issue. I don't feel the need to necessarily limit the Heart's Desires to any certain individuals right now. Maybe eventually, but I like having options.
Understood. I may recommend in the near future to create a secondary location, perhaps, as it can be difficult to maintain a merger of societies like this into the near future. However, right now, I agree. He writes that down as well. And at this point, as you guys are traveling throughout the city streets, you make your way past the Deanery, and go ahead and roll perception for me.
$21.
21. As you're moving, you can hear town criers throughout, and you get little pieces of each as they begin to call out. But moving past Gond's district and past this kind of large spiring tower that you are immediately adjacent to, you can see that there's quite a few kind of like newsboys that are throwing out pamphlets and speaking aloud, saying, "This is a big one, everybody! The Emperor has moved! The title has been passed! The son of the Emperor is now Emperor of the Kingdom! Dianthus has set aside its resignation! Alexander Dianthus has become the new Emperor of the Kingdom!" As passing along, and then you continue passing through the city streets until eventually you see another. "Alexander Dianthus takes an ash bond! Is this proof of Alticia's grace?" As he begins to call out loud. "The symbol of the sun sits heavenly upon the Dianthian Empire. What does this mean for our fragile city-state?" As people continue moving. Passes on, see more news people screaming aloud. The water continues to rise in the east of Amaranth. The city itself floods. Find out tomorrow as everything continues moving. And this is kind of the news that you just slowly begin to digest until eventually you hit close to the end of your trail. And as you find the main pathway that has been built alongside your city, just filled with people who have been unhomed from this previously mentioned floods of the east of the city, people kind of just talking amongst themselves. They are beginning to say, have you been hearing about all the missing people? It's just not ending. We're not safe here. We have to go somewhere else. I'll speak to Melora tomorrow. You're not going to get to speak to a goddess. I'll do what I have to do, as people just continually argue about the current state of the city, and things seem to be reaching somewhat of a boiling point. Moving through, you make your way down the fine stone cobble path until eventually you reach Old Town.
During the trip, Vincent has a couple things he'd like to ask Carson.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some things he needs to get done throughout the week. Aside from having the Heart's Desires upgraded, Carson, I had mentioned before about setting a dinner for Regis. Could you move it to tonight, actually? I'm sure you could make it work.
I shall contact him. I don't think he's an individual who typically has things to do. So I shall let him know that you wish for a dinner.
Tell him it'll be worth it if he's preoccupied. On top of that, with the upgrades towards the Heart's Desires, make sure we get a carriage involved. I want to stop hailing my own, if I can help it.
Understood. I shall ensure that you have a suitable driver as well.
How much will that be?
If I had to estimate, roughly 200 gold pieces. For the carriage, the horses, a bit of tack and feed, their barding, as well as the driver himself. I shall send the carriage out for brief, we'll say, goods transitions for the Heart's Desires, and that should cover the consistent payments of the driver and the upkeep for the horse.
On top of that, I need you to find a florist in the city. White and red roses, I think, will do, as well as jewelry. Send it over to Rosa at the Black Sheep and keep sending 1 or 2 of them every day for the next week.
I shall search Shanti's district. Perhaps the Bright Bounty would have something. Silvery Moon Tower has been known for its flowers I found within the last few days.
And last thing. In the morning, maybe around 8 or 9, tell Tristan to meet me at the Heart's Desires. I don't think he's super busy right now, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Very well. Although this individual does not care very much for being outside, shall I send a carriage for him?
Yes. Tell him we'll pay for it.
Excellent.
We're not open there, and if he wants to use the back to get to my office, that's fine as well. Also, with the layout of the loft, there should be an extra office in the back. Make sure it's made to his specifications, if he agrees to whatever he wants to tomorrow.
I shall ensure that it is set up for a tailor. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's good for now. Maybe a nice coffee when we get back home.
Understood. Your mother has been pining as of late. You've been away for quite some time. I believe she would like some time alone.
Understood. Thank you for this.
Of course, it is my duty to serve.
He'll reach into his lapel and pull out his little black book, start writing some stuff in it, mostly about the things that he heard along the way, about the king and things like that. Just organizing his business stuff as well.
And as you enter into Old Town, looking out just past the exterior wall where you now stand, the carriage continues past as it slows down to a brief crawl, and you can see that there is a stable off to the side that has been built. You see several horses inset within. and you can see that there's a farmhand kind of tilling the soil. With your passive perception, you glance over towards them, and as they are not tilling the soil, he's planting wheat in front of your stable. The bloody fool. As you are looking upon this individual, you glance, he kind of shifts his hat for a brief moment. You can see commoner's clothing, long overalls and boots that kind of connect in, very tall to the shin. He shifts his cap, and you can see the telltale ears of a half-elven young man, who now stands and kind of covers his ears with his cap once more and continues working, mucking out. And as you begin to move in, the camera pulls away. Matilda, we find you now.
Yes. To Mama Mel's I go.
Are you taking a jaunt? It's not super far, but it is close to a little over an hour's walk.
No, thank you. I will. I am but a frail glass cannon warlock. I will take a carrot, please.
This will also, Vincent, that will be 5 silver as well. And Matilda, as you travel to Mal's Melodies, you find yourself, let me go ahead and draw a straight line here. That will cost you 4 silver pieces.
Okie dokie.
As you take the carriage, you pass by the seat of Olympus, Ares' personal family home, and you can see outside that people are actually gathering in mass. There's what amounts to a small militia currently outside of Ares' family home, kind of currently training. As you circle about, go ahead and roll perception for me.
Okie dokes. All right, Matilli, you can do it. Maturret, use your crazy vision to figure out what's going on.
19 perception. As you begin to meticulously scan and listen into the exterior, you also begin to hear some seated rumors. Rumor spreads among the Dianthian imperial family. Pregnancy among the family. It is said that Alondra Dianthus has with child. The mysteries abound. As the calls continue out, Mistra and Gond have set a date for the creation of the Stargazer, first announced largest skyship in the realm. Come on, come all, for the inaugural flight. People continually calling out, and this is the information that you managed to glean.
Do they say the date?
They do not. That you would have to pay for a paper for. Welcome to clickbait, my friend. But as you arrive at Mal's Melodies and the carriage driver kind of lets you out, you look inwards and you can hear a little bit of slamming on the interior.
Do these sounds sound like the usual fare? Or do they sound hinky?
As you begin to approach and kind of cautiously listen in for any manner of hink, you can hear, "Piece of shit, son of a... I cannot believe that someone would dare..." Now, calm down. We don't need to get too up in arms. Otherwise, I'll get angry. As Fen and Mal are kind of just fuming about something on the interior.
I love her spat. Oh no. Anyway, Matilda just is like, it's them. She's like, opens the door.
You throw the door open, the two turn, and with this just brief look of frustration and surprise at the door opening, you can see energy crackling in their fingertips. This kind of just this bright colorful energy from one and this like black necrosis from the other as they look towards you and their eyes darken for a moment before the room itself kind of brightens slightly. I'm so glad you're okay. As Fen runs forward and kind of picks you up into a hug, Mal moves in and you can see their frustration immediately ease as you arrive. The two of them kind of just encircle you until there's no oxygen left, and then as the three of you break, you look around and you take note that the shop is fucking destroyed. The back room that is a large door covered that kind of carves into stone with stairs down to the morgue area is broken open. The main area has been tossed and turned. Like everything is out of sorts. We're so glad you're okay.
What happened?
someone came in and stole. She's like, I can take it from here. Someone came in and stole my research. You had been giving me the yellow liquid, and everything was going smoothly. I didn't have all of the time in the world to begin to look at it, but I perhaps we should talk elsewhere. Fenn's like, excellent idea. Let's move a little bit. Come, I know a small park.
Well, do you want to go to the family home?
Is it secure?
Yes.
Very well. You see they begin to shore up their clothing, and then that frustration slowly begins to seep back in. The three of you grab a carriage, and as they begin to move once more, looking back towards everything that's happening, they sit down in frustration and stare out the window. You can feel feet tapping, and just this, they don't know what they were doing. This is a mistake. I will be calling onto my contacts and ensuring that someone deals with this post-haste. The carriage continues down the roadways. And as you come across, you see Fenn throw down some silver pieces for the carriage, and it kind of covers the trip through from point A to point B. You can still hear the musings, and as you round the entrance to Old Town itself, you can see once again the amount of people who have been homed here has grown.
Adrian, would I have been able to shove my head out the carriage for a second and bought a paper?
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna roll dexterity for the paper boy. He turns. You toss a silver piece. It's like 4 copper, but throwing 4 copper at this kid would be a little bit rough. So like silver piece is just about the only option. As you throw it, he runs, jumps, throws the paper, and it slams into the side of the carriage and hits the ground. And you see him running for like close to a block until eventually he just jogs up to the carriage at full speed, jumps on, and she's like, right you are, here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you 2 because that's what you paid for. And he jumps off and begins to run away.
I give him a gold piece on top of the silver because I was very impressed at how fast they ran.
As he takes that, he pockets it, and you see him kind of around the corner just bite down on it, throw it in his coat, and just look around at people before beginning to run off. He gives a fucking curt nod, and he takes his hat off and just kind of gives a big bow, and you can see the hair just like bundled up in the top.
Now, Matilda did not just also do that to be nice. It's very smart to be kind to the people that are in charge of information. It's also a little bit conniving at the same time.
As you begin your plan to become the media mistress of the city, the carriage rounds around to the side of the forest of Old Town, and as the carriage passes by a tree, the camera transitions. We now find Killian. You have just left the interface office in the early afternoon. What do you do?
I'm gonna be heading to the dennery.
Carriage or you have a Bladebeak?
Just Bladebeak.
You take note as you continue to move. Traversing through the city on Bladebeak like this draws quite a bit of attention, but it's not, similarly to how you have been seen recently, it's not the kind of attention you're used to in Frustration. There almost seems to be, like, as far as you can tell, rumors a-brewing. Go ahead and roll perception.
Just me or Bladebeak as well?
Oh yeah, Bladebeak can Bladebeak converse with you? I keep forgetting this question.
Not really. It's not like a psychic thing. It's just like it just follows my orders.
You could just talk to them like I talk to my cats. Like they don't talk back. But
I'll tell you this. Roll perception for Bladebeak too. I want to see if this information is locked within a construct.
Okay. For character sheets, I have 2 Bladebeaks. Which one is the right one?
Oh, let me check.
I remember we had a little bit of trouble the last time I was here, so.
A little kerfuffle. Other than attacks, the one that is just Bladebeak should do perfectly fine.
Okay.
Boop. 19. Bladebeak's head kind of turns briefly, and you can hear just the listening receptors on the interior of its head kind of whirring, and then it kind of locks into place, and you guys continue forward. But all you can really hear is mumbling among people. You do take note, though, that this is just not the typical frustration or just aggression that is typically shown through goblins within the dennery, or the Dungeonborn entirely. There seems to be something going on surrounding you at the very least.
Okay. I mean, I give people a kind of like a side eye. I don't like, make a mean face, and I don't like wave like a doof, but I just kind of like, I acknowledge that people are looking at me, essentially. Just like, stare at them. If they smile, I'll smile a little awkwardly, but like otherwise just kind of keep going with Bladebeak.
I think they, for the most part, they take note of your glances, and then it's like a half second longer than comfortable eye contact, and then you like break it and they begin to talk to each other again. As you begin to move through the dennery, where do you go? Kind of carriages and horses passing by in all which ways, people traveling.
Is there anywhere in the dennery that Patience spends time other than like the monstrous area?
There is a nearby, somewhat it's like it's a tavern, but also just a loose restaurant called the Goblet and Gavel, where Patience likes to go for like an early morning kind of really greasy breakfast. Right now in the afternoon, she might be there. Other than that, she's typically working within the family home, or within the group home rather.
Gotcha. Well, if it's on the way, I'll take a peek in. Otherwise, I'll head to the monster home and see if she's there.
As you glance into the Goblet and Gavel, you can actually see Patience in there. You look over into the corner and you can hear that there is this kind of flautist playing on the small stage in the corner, and Patience is sitting in the back, just kind of looking towards with paperwork strewn on the desk in front of her.
I'm gonna pat Bladebeak and just command him to stay put, and I'm gonna saunter in.
You move in. Patience is incredibly distracted as she's just watching this flautist play in eager interest. As you glance about, you can see that they themselves have this kind of unnatural beauty about them, with this hair that almost looks like it's formed of golden strands. And Patience is watching. She's sitting. The beauty of these two, just the like elegance and this unnatural just calm that rests upon you when you stare at, or when you see Patience, has drawn a large crowd to the Goblet and Gavel. And as you enter in, she finally takes note of you and sits up. Killian! Here, come, sit. She kind of takes some books off of one of the chairs and sets it aside. Actually, she places the books back down so that you can sit on them.
I just like thank her and shuffle onto the books. Hi, sorry, I didn't mean to disturb your music time. I have something that I think is important to talk with you about. Are you going to be around later?
I do have a little bit of traveling to do. I just have to head to the Sunrise and to the Blind Court briefly. But other than that, I will be home. Is this something of importance?
I think so. I don't know. That's why I'm coming to you. We just did some diving, and we're gonna be doing more. But I wanted to let you know things before I went in again.
Does this have to do with Yaga, Pod, and Killig?
Maybe. I don't know. I think, but if I'm being honest, my priorities have changed a little bit in that regard.
Does that have anything to do with Yaga returning home briefly?
What?
Yaga came home briefly. They gathered some things, and they said that they seemed rather upbeat.
Did you follow them? Did you put them on house arrest? They didn't show up to work, right? They have to be arrested or something for that?
I wasn't there at the time, and it wouldn't be something so drastic. It would simply just be somewhat of just a breach of trust. It would be hard to break into work again in the city.
Okay.
But I'm trying to remain calm about it.
You're doing a better job than I am. Okay, well, that's something I want to talk about as well, but also there's other things. So, I guess when you're not busy, I'll be at my family home.
Her eyes alight a flaming gold for a moment. She brings her hands together and utters a celestial word, which kind of echoes out throughout the chamber. People around get mildly, like, shuffling back, but are just listening in as the tune carries with the flute. And then she raises a hand as an aura arrives outwards. She's casting Calm Emotions. Do you resist the spell?
No.
It kind of washes out over most of the people in the bar as the flute becomes that much more chill. And she says, very well. I will meet you shortly.
Okay.
Place the hand on your shoulder. As we can say this, you guys leave in brief one after the next. You do see, you manage to catch the flautist leaving, and then like 15-20 seconds later, Patience leaves and kind of just jogs to catch up with you, places a hand on your shoulder, and when you reach the group home, takes you up to her office, where she sits you down.
Is it safe to talk in here? I never really thought to ask before, but I assume so.
Under the protection of Tyr, we have quite a bit of security in speech, especially within our group homes. Not very many people would dare attack one of the gods of justice's protections or charges. So we are safe.
I met a person in the dungeon. Stop me if I'm saying things. I mean, you've been there already. But there's no guarantee that you've met them. They had mounts. We got help from them. It was nice to see a not hostile face, I guess. But they said that they had seen goblins. And in various different states of goblin, not like corpses or whatever, but like there were people traveling with goblins through the dungeon, which I didn't think that was possible for people without ash bonds to go in the dungeon. If it was like Pod or Killian or Yaga, I guess it wasn't Yaga because they were ahead of us and we had just gone in. But then, I mean, it means that they had to get an ash bond from somewhere. We think it might be, and like she leans in and whispers, Tiamat? We found a lot of dead Tiamat people in our instance. So that's something, right? People don't typically ash bond goblins. And then the other person that he said he saw was just a lone goblin going in the opposite direction, going down floors. And he said that she looked injured and had a short sword, and my only assumption is that it's Talca. But if Talca's leaving the 10th floor, that means something's wrong, right? That means that like the Tiamat is like, and whatever they're doing with the things, and then they're taking goblins and they're going back. Have you been to the 10th floor recently?
Killian, take a breath. And I've not returned to the dungeon in quite some time. For the information of, you say that there was groups of goblins going down the dungeon.
No, there was just one goblin going down.
I've heard of this trader in the dungeon. I've heard rumors at the very least. I've never witnessed them myself. But something like that does not escape the ears of the rumor mongers in the city. I'm going to lean on some friends for more information about this. If this is Talca, then perhaps I can make an expedition up to the 10th floor as well. It's been a long time since I've traversed that far, and without aid will be difficult, but...
Have you at least been in contact with anyone from there?
I receive missives, of course, and information in regards to the state of the 10th floor, but I'm not at liberty to share.
That's understandable. That's why I'm telling you and not asking you, I guess.
I'm sorry.
Well, I tried to contact her in case she was still in the same instance. I didn't even know if she was in the same instance when the trader told us. But I tried using Skywrite, and now I'm worried that all I did was warn the other groups about that we were going, because then there was someone trying to stop us, and I've just made a big mess of it.
Even if that is the case, there's no way that you could have known. There's nothing wrong with being worried about family and friends. Now, what I can tell you about the 10th floor is that things, they are a little bit off, but from the reports I've been receiving, it's not something dangerous. It's being handled well. I'd like to visit them myself and see in the coming days. Or I suppose it'll probably take close to a week. But I'll take a brief leave, and I wish to see this for myself. So thank you for sharing this with me. It means the world.
If I know that you're strong and capable, but you don't know what you might find up there. I would feel terrible if I gave you this information and then you went in and got in trouble because of it. So just maybe if you have some friends or some divers that owe you a favor, you could transfer that favor onto me or something, but just don't go alone.
I appreciate your concern, and even if anything were to happen, which I'm rather confident, but if anything were to happen, know that the actions of other people are never your responsibility. Everyone has their own free will to choose, and this is my choice.
Yeah, but we're all one tribe.
But that is not meant to instill fear or abject responsibility. It is meant to unify, to understand that we are all one, and that we need not stand apart. She placed a hand on your shoulder and says, "Don't worry about me one way or the other. I have some old friends that I can call on. And in the meantime, try to get some rest. And I will look into this as well." In this moment, roll a D100, Damon.
Right.
71. You receive a message in the back of your mind. It says, and you recognize the voice. This is Yaga. And in their message it says, I'm in the forest, but the mercs left me here. Killian said not to talk to you, but I'm scared. What should I... And the message cuts away.
I don't have any sending abilities, right?
You can respond to it.
You can respond to that message, yeah.
Okay. My eyes just like go wide. And I kind of like wiggle my hands like don't talk to me, don't like touch me, like I need to think. And I just start like kind of pacing in a little circle in Patient's office. And I say, let me do some math while I type. Are you in
Here's what I think happens right now. As you are preparing this and you're moving back and forth, the camera swings back as the windows open. Patience kind of waves a hand and they just boom slam open, probably harder than they should. The camera kind of moves through them, and as the curtains close, we cycle through. Jojo.
Good.
Mhm.
It's been there. Max enters into the room.
Yeah.
As he approaches you, and you can see he's wearing a nightgown, like a long nightgown, and he's holding a candle as the light has long since left the area.
Oh,
And then
wow,
he-
it's like the middle of the day.
He approaches you and he's like, "Do you want a candle or anything?"
Got a pillow?
Yeah, I could steal one from one of the whelps, sure. Tell you what, yeah. He just he's like, the door don't close, so do you want a weapon or anything? Just in case, thieves.
Oh, I got weapons. I just came out of the dungeon. Of course I got weapons on me.
Oh, yeah? Oh, you don't have a fucking candle with you then, huh? No pillow in the dungeon?
I didn't bring him. I have my bedroll. Fuck, I have my bedroll. Fuck. And she takes out her pack.
Hey, tell you what, I'll get you a pillow one way or the other. Tell you what, one with the good feathers.
One for under the knees for the back support, It's important.
You're not even getting one fucking pillow now. He leaves, comes back 15 minutes later, and he hands you a pillow. He looks at you and he's like, "Why are you doing this? I mean, really, it's been all day long. Why are you still here?"
I want to know more about Rifts.
Why?
I think a lot of people think that the mysteries of the dungeon stick to the dungeon. I don't think that's true at all. And a rift, my mom nearly died because of rift. I want to figure it out.
I'll see you in the morning, kid. Here's your pillow.
Thanks.
Sleep well. Tell you what, actually follow me. And he pulls the table away so that you almost fall off of it. Roll a dexterity saving throw.
Do you see this danger?
Yeah, do I see this danger?
You see this danger.
I sensed it with my eyes. 12.
With a 12. Actually, let me go ahead and roll this in context. You see the danger, you see him approach, and he reaches forward with a hand, and you brace yourself, and he's like, "I'm just kidding." And as he turns around, he's wrapped his foot around the bottom leg of the table, and he screeches it out from under you, and you fucking trip and slam onto the ground underneath.
I think he sees this flump thing turn into a rat, be like, "Ah!" and then sort of uncoil and sort of float its way down to the floor.
As it hits the ground, it just kind of
Yeah.
just squishes down like a pancake. He looks down and he's like, "Okay, follow me." He leads you through the front kind of office that seems to resemble the interface office in a way, but just kind of this loose wood with constant footpaths that have been dug down into the wood itself, lighter patches everywhere. And as he exits the area, you find a stone interior, one that is heavily fortified, and there's this intricate archways that have been carved in that seem to resemble ash gates throughout the dungeon. As you begin to move through, you can see the front facade of the Rift Hunters is that of a meager beginning, and the actual interior of the building is rather impressive. And as you reach the back, he opens up a doorway to a bunk room with another 10 beds, most of which empty save for 2 that are currently just laying down and filled with 2 individuals who are just... The other one grabs a pillow and just fucking hurls it until it hits them, and they just... Quiet for a moment, and he's just like, "You can rest in here for now."
Okay.
All right, see you in the morning.
Yep.
As he leaves, he closes the door behind you, and the candles on the interior of the room that had just faintly lit to light your way towards the doorway go out.
As she gets ready for bed, she's like, "Please don't sleepwalk. Please don't sleepwalk. Please don't have weird dreams." And she goes to bed.
You lay down in this kind of down feather bed with a wood casing, and it's hard and it's rugged, but it's not uncomfortable. You close your eyes, and you, in this unfamiliar place, take your rest. And as we will circle back to that in a brief moment, but for now, let's take a break.
Hooray!
Jojo, go ahead and roll for me a D100. This will be a chaos check. I'm going to roll a D6 to see whether high or low is a good or bad thing.
66, one away from the devil number.
Well,
One
more
extra
than one.
6 away is what I meant. You know, it's 2 of 3 6s.
Oh,
Adrian is rolling a
2/3 ain't
D6,
bad.
So
Oh no, fuck. And I rolled a 6. Okay, so that means that high is bad. So here's the thing. You do sleepwalk this night.
Ah, no!
You don't know why. When you are dreaming, you reach a threshold, and it is a two-way street. One way, you can see that there is kind of this just, it's kind of like a pink and purple, almost neon forest, almost in photo negative. Everything seems incredibly interesting and intriguing. While the other direction, you can see flames, azure flames that burn incredibly high, up to the sky almost. Beyond the flames, you can see the silhouette of a city. Which direction do you go?
The flames remind me of like the flames from the 5th floor. Yeah, the 5th floor. So she's gonna head towards the flames.
You make your way towards the flames, but you reach the threshold, and there is nowhere to go but into the fire. What do you do?
She's gonna like stick out her hand like close to it and sort of see what the fire does, like if it hurts.
It is frigidly cold, but it has a sense of, as you place your hands into it, you almost feel betrayal, frustration, anger.
I think she's gonna shore up and like just run right through the fire.
You move in. You hear a voice in the back of your head that says, "So begins the rite of Azure, the profane." And as you begin to move forward, you reach a wall, a large gate forged of unyielding steel, not mithril, not steel, not iron, but some kind of strange metal, intricate, ornate. And you find a small doorway. As you begin to press forward, the only place to go away from the oppressive cold of these flames, you open it, and you find on the interior Max, who says, "Wake the fuck up!" You open your eyes and you have found yourself into the office of Max, who now stands on the other side. He's no longer wearing that nightgown. He's now actually just wearing like normal night clothes. He seems to just be like silks. And he is standing there just holding a candle half in bed as he's got this rapier in hand.
Fuck, please tell me this is part of the dream. Fuck, seriously!
What are you doing?
I said not tonight. Shit.
You're not tonight. You got that goddamn right. Back to your bed, chamber.
I sleepwalk and leaves.
You turn and you leave. He's like, for fuck's sake, door closes. You return to your bed and you can see that the two who were there previously are awake and they were looking at you. One of them's just like, "I could have stopped you, but I chose not to." Then he just returns to sleep.
You know, stop a sleepwalking person, so.
The look over, you see a human male and a wood elf female who are sitting, as far as you can kind of discern from just their immediate appearance. She stares at you and you've seen half-elves. You've seen many half-elves in your time. You've never seen an elf, and as you, up close and personal, as you look at this person, there almost seems to be this kind of, wild starlight in their eyes. As they are looking at you absent-mindedly, slowly they just turn their attention back down to the bed and throw the cover over themselves as they just look towards you. And then eventually they find themselves on their back and just stare upwards towards the bottom of the bunk above them.
Okay. She'll, I don't think she'll go to sleep again. Actually, I don't want to get, exhaustion. But I think she's just gonna, try and not fall asleep. Yeah, she's gonna try and stay awake so she doesn't sleepwalk again because it's super embarrassing.
Okay, go ahead and roll a Constitution saving throw. You succeed.
13.
As the morning comes, you hear a loud and distinguished copper bell kind of ring out, and people immediately rouse themselves. You see that that wood elven woman kind of just stand in this fluidity, slowly fold her blanket, place it off to the side, remove her boots and place on these other boots, and begin to move in as the human just kind of stands up almost with vigor and just makes his bed faster than, as he watches over and looks like a competition between him and this wood elf woman, makes his bed faster, moves towards the door, stands in line, and eventually she also makes her way there. They both look back towards you expectantly.
Jojo will follow suit and like make the bed. Like she does a shit job of it. She's just not that she doesn't try and do a shit job, she's just not very good at it.
The wood elf pays virtually no attention to you, and the human is looking at you just like, okay, well, one less competition, I guess, and just stands in line. Eventually, as you make your way towards the entrance, I'll have you roll dexterity. With the mild bit of confusion, let's see if you manage to continue here.
Oh yeah.
It's fast. You're fast.
It's
You're
fast,
in
which
line.
is probably why it's not very good.
You reach the front of the door, and like 5 to 6 seconds later, Max bursts the door open and looks in and sees all of you in line and gives a nod. Says, "You too. Training room. You come with me." Points towards you, Jojo.
Yeah, she follows.
To immediately move out towards the hallway, and you are brought back into Max's office, and he's just like, "How do you like the place? First time you seen it, right?"
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
Nope. Sleepwalking,
nice
huh?
office. Yeah.
That's rough.
It's ever since I got my Ashfall actually.
He sits down at his desk and looks towards you. Listen. So as you look at Max, he's quite tan. From the top down, you can see that his tan kind of just fades to almost a lighter skin tone under his clothes because his hands are rather pale. As he sits, he looks towards you. He has some just scraggly facial hair that makes him look somewhat just unkempt. And his hair itself is kind of ragged and somewhat thin. But he's maybe early 30s, human. He looks towards you and says, "Typically, we're looking for dedication. There's 3 things we look for in a hunter, right? Dedication, devotion, and direction. Here's what I'm going to say. Took you all close to 4 months to come back here. Why was that?"
I was busy with missions.
What family are you part of?
Lavos.
All right, I've heard rumors. The new god in town, yeah?
Yeah.
Establishing yourself makes sense. What that tells me is you got patience. But you also got a bit of frustration in there, you know? You came back now. Why'd you come back now?
Well, it'd been 4 months and I was waiting for you guys to call, and you didn't, so I was getting mad. So I thought I'd show up and ask what the fuck was up.
Direction. You gotta point that anger somewhere. Somewhere where it belongs. Dedication, devotion. I feel like you got those in spades. First thing I saw in you when you came in here was devotion. You got some strong ideals. I can see that in the way you walk. I can see it in the way you look at people. It's important. And your second rank, I can tell by your tats. That's good, but I need you to know, when you're here, your accomplishments out there don't mean shit. We're looking for hunters here. We're not looking for divers. We're not looking for adventurers. We understand the need to be part of the family. First thing you're going to do as a whelp, if you decide to join up, you're going to be here in the morning. Here for morning training. Beyond that, missions come your way, nothing early. You're going to be a whelp for a while, which means you take orders and you don't question them. Eventually you work your way up, you be the one giving the orders. Might even get your own platoon. Now you'd say you're looking for the secret to the rifts, aren't we fucking all? But here's the thing, most people out there, they're not paying attention. They don't see the threat that's sitting right above us. They're not even looking. Took us a lot to get to where we are, and we need people who care about that. What do you say? You interested?
No questions is like you said, I've got ideals. I'm not gonna take orders that go against those.
And I would hope we never give any. But here's the thing. It's trust. If I put you in a position where I let you give orders, I gotta trust they're the right ones. And you gotta have that trust even if it don't seem like they're right. There's a reason. Not one of us here comes from abuse of power. Not one of us here comes from a place where we're going to take advantage of someone else. We're here to fight for what matters.
Okay. I don't mind not being you know, I don't give a shit about people being like, oh man, no, second rank, crazy. I don't care a shit about that. I can take orders if they are, like you said, the right ones. And I think trust goes both ways.
He looks at you for a moment. He outstretches a hand and he says, a free thinker. That's good.
Takes the hand.
Now, early morning training's already begun. Run over there. See what you can get.
She starts running and the Gambit just sort of like, trying to keep up.
As you leave the room and you begin to jog, he reaches the outer doorway and says, hey, well.
Yeah.
Get fucking moving! What are you doing stopping in the hallway? Run! As he stops you to tell you to stop stopping and rushes you forward towards the training room as we cycle through. Vincent, your time can take place anytime between yesterday and today, as time has struck forward for JoJo. By the time we end these kind of situations, it will be one day in the future minimum. So, what do you do?
After we arrive at the family home, he'd like to speak with Lavos quickly before going to see his mother.
You arrive at the home and you find Lavos, who is currently in his study, attending to the newly delivered kind of gold. You see he's slowly calculating over here and placing it in a small box, scratching his head, and he's like, "Oh, Vincent, come on in."
You knew we were back?
Aye, well, they delivered gold pretty quickly here. It got here shortly before you did, so I was about calculating. Anytime you guys come back from the dungeons interface, this is pretty much what lets me know you've arrived.
Interesting. He'll have a seat. Carson will come in with his coffee. Would you like anything?
Goat's milk, slightly warm. 2 dashes of salt inside of it. Looks towards Carson. Right away. Carson leaves. He's like, we don't have any goat's milk here. Let's see what happens.
I think he'll make do. Well, our foray into the dungeon was decent. We were able to make it up to about the 6th floor.
Excellent. Next goal will be 10. 6.
Are you just like increments of 5, or do these have any sort of greater meaning to them?
For the most part, it's motivation to ensure that the family has missions to continue along. We want to make sure we get up to snuff as fast as possible. As far as I'm aware, the furthest anyone has ever explored is the 26th floor. If we can get up there, we can finally start being in the race.
Well, I'm sure we'll make it there eventually, dear.
I have the utmost trust.
Another quick question. I think we have enough. Vincent kind of looks up and calculates. We should have enough torch bloom. I'm interested to see what happens. You ever seen anyone use them before?
No, for the most part, I've only been around as much as around you lot.
Do you have any means to record it aside from putting in a book or something? I'm sure Matilda would want to see this.
I can relive most things through memory and dreams. Kind of like an elf's trance, if it is, but a bit different. Just connect to the deep ethereal.
Could you give this information to Matilda if she requested it?
Yeah, anything that we ourselves relive to a point. It might be a little bit cryptic, but we can always explain as well.
Sure. Do you know where she keeps them? I put one in the vault a couple weeks ago, but she's been doing some research on the others.
Oh, yeah, I built a little side room. Everyone's good with this, then?
As far as I know. We had discussions off screen, so...
Always the bard. He stands and makes his way towards the Matilda's hidden room, and then he stops and is just like, one sec. It's like a secret, right? So you're just gonna have to wait out here.
I'm not here to invade her personal privacy.
All right, then. That's good. That's good. He makes his way into the room. He comes out shortly, holding on to the torch bloom. And as he shows up and you bring the two kind of together, they just, both of them almost flow. Like the leathery like petals begin to move slightly. Carson's coming up the stairs. He's holding a warm glass. Oh, you can see the steam rising off of it. Yes.
Do you have the other one, do you?
Of course. He opens up his ledger bag and pulls it out.
He looks towards Lavos. Do you think this will make a scene like it did before, or should we go somewhere?
Let's go into the training room. The three of you make your way down to the basement. Lavos takes the cup from Carson and begins to drink it, and he's like, "It's bloody fucking sheep's milk. You got to do better than that." And Carson's like, "I would like to posit that you are not certain that you know what goat's milk tastes like." And Lavos sits back and he's like, "I don't like him." He's fucking right. As you all arrive within the central chamber, you sit, and the torch blooms. Carson provides a small table, throws a tablecloth over it, and brings like a fork and knife cutlery, but you have no idea how it's supposed to be done.
Vincent puts sits down in front of it with a fork and knife, and there's like 3 torch blooms on a plate. I guess I'm just supposed to eat these.
That's all I've heard, yeah.
I guess at this point he just like picks them up and eats them without hesitation.
As you begin to dig into these torch blooms, I need you to roll a perception check. As you eat the first torch bloom, you take note of walls, massive walls, that surround you in the distance. Black iron, maybe, or some kind of strange metal that you've never seen before. Like a vision that hits your mind. You eat the second one. Make 2 more perception checks for the second and third. In the second torch bloom, you fixate on those walls, and they seem to grow higher and higher, encircling you almost to a point of unnatural retribution and entrapment, but protection. And in the third, your eyes continue to gaze northward, past the bound of the walls until you see a brilliant city, that of the gods, as it could be nothing else, with the beauty that it shines with. And it sits atop an impossible peak, in the horizon never to be closer than the distance. But it looms over you and provides beautiful light. And in this time, as you finish eating the torch blooms almost in a stupor, you come back to your senses and you find yourself within this room. Having eaten the 3 torch blooms, what statistic do you increase?
My charisma.
Your charisma increases by 1, and you now have a +4 to your charisma modifier. Having eaten enough torch blooms, equivalent to your previous modifier, it increases the score itself by 1, and you now have a 18, yes, to your charisma?
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
What does Vincent feel any different? Does he know that this is what it does?
You feel a little bit more jovial, a little bit more like as you look around at your friends, it's almost like a little bit more spark of inspiration as you stare on their faces. You feel like maybe you're a little bit more in tune with their style, and you know a little bit more about them.
Well, it was a little taut, but aside from that, it wasn't too bad. Though I did see a couple things. More dungeon stuff, I assume.
All right. Make sure you let me know what that is. Give me a little bit of a down low.
Oh, I'll draw some images up and give them to Matilda. Let you look them over as well.
I put new easels in your painting room as well. At this point, at the mention of Matilda, you do hear the front door open on the first floor.
Oh. Any expected guests, Lavos?
It's Matilda and two others. It seems like her parentage.
Well, unfortunately, she just missed the show, but there wasn't much to see, I guess.
Oh, you went at it. You were just a mess. It's torch bloom all over the place. Carson hits him in the shoulder, and he's lying. He's like, oi, don't fucking do that. I don't lie.
I take most of what he says, half the truth.
To find out whether or not that was the truth, you will need to pay for the additional DLC. I'm just kidding.
Vincent just sits or stands up. Here's a chair scrape across the floor. Would you mind tidying this up, Carson? We'll go greet our Matilda and her guests.
Of course. And as he begins to clean up the area, you and Lavos head upstairs. Matilda, the camera shuffles up the stairs and sees the front door opening as Pom Pom and Mama Mal enter in, and it's quite nice.
Come sit, and I bring them to the front room where the books are, where Matilda usually does like her research, like her open research, not in her little dungeon closet. And then I go looking for Lavos immediately.
You find Lavos and Vincent coming up the stairs from the basement.
Hi, is our house secure? We need to have a conversation.
I put more worries in, since some gods just kind of jaunted into the place.
Okay, cool. And I turn around.
Matilda, dear, what's the cause for alarm?
Someone broke into my Mama Mal's establishment and tossed it around and stole her research on the drugs that we found. So that sucks. I want to be more upset about the fact that her home got messed up, but I'm more upset about the research being stolen, and I think she is too. But I don't want to assume for her. Let's go talk to them. We wanted to make sure we were having a private conversation.
Of course, dear.
The two of you enter into the room, Matilda, that you had taken them into. And as they sit over in the corner, just still looking around, Mama Mal's still tapping her foot aggressively. And Pom Pom sitting, he just pulls kind of this hairpin, or they pulled this hairpin out of the back of their hair, and it kind of flows down. And judging by looking at them from the front and how just tightly bound their hair is in the first place, you never would have assumed that they had this much hair. But as it flows downward, kind of sits in this almost just coiffed fashion. You enter into the room, and they look over towards you alongside Mama Mal. So, first thing that I wanted to talk about was where I was getting with it. So, at first, I thought, a request from Matilda. I can't wait. The first thing she did in the dungeon, I'm going to make a little scrapbook of this and post the scrapbook. I was thinking about actually getting to work on the research. Now, what I found was, and this is very interesting, what it appears as though this concoction is Elvish in make. I've seen a few different decanters of liquid from scroungings that we have done within the Seldarine Fens, and it had a similar process to it. Something taking alchemical solutions, drying them, utilizing them as powder into the same alchemical solutions to strengthen it. And this technique I've not seen much anywhere else. It seems to be elvish in make. But not only that, it's very strange. It's directed somewhat. It seems like this particular formula has been adapted from herbalist methods that specifically target humans. However, this is crude. It's the best way that I can put it. Someone is attempting to create a recreation of something. From what I was able to infer, and Matilda and Vincent, you may both roll investigation in regards to this.
Do I have advantage because it's my mama?
No, this is
Okay.
investigating kind of the information she's giving you.
May I guide myself?
Not in this instance. I don't think you would have had premeditated time.
Yeah.
Matilda 17, Vincent 14. As you are listening to Mama Mal speak, she says, she continues along with her findings. This particular decoction seems to be attempting to subvert itself. They are trying to make this so that humans are unaffected. Currently it targets them, but it has some elvish make to it. It produces some kind of a strange high, perhaps. It has high concentrations of some pretty specific chemicals. As you guys are listening to this, judging by what you had seen before, and the red vial as well that seems to have been absent from this investigation, you determine that whatever this thing is, whatever they are, the group that is behind this, because you have seen that this is actually somewhat widespread. It seems to be in more than one place. You kind of tie this decoction together with a long time ago. You were taken into a back alley by Marcus, and a similar decoction was thrown to two mutated humans who had been just viciously attacking you from a regard. You guys begin to tie together that individual with this particular drug, and as you are looking at it now, this thing seems to be way bigger than a small cult in the boonies that you had anticipated originally.
She mentioned it seems of elvish make.
Indeed.
There was an elf encountered on the way.
There was an elf. There was an elf involved.
Yes.
She looks over towards Pom Pom. It's just like, well, we can't all be right all of the time.
Did it change color depending on certain things?
It changed hue somewhat. It lightened when heated, but it didn't seem to have any effect on the efficacy, from what I could tell, chemically.
I run upstairs and I grab the jug of cider that I have, and I bring it down. Well, I think they were putting it in this, and it changes color before you drink it a lot of the time.
Fascinating. Is that due to the acidity? And she takes a small drop of the liquid and pours it in, and as it hits the top of the cider, you see the entire cider once again just kind of flicker, shift, almost sparkle ever so slightly, bubble, change color, and settle. Fascinating.
So Matilda was correct. They were putting the drug in the cider.
You see that she...
Was it a similar, or does it just do the same thing it did the last time we encountered it?
Can I have this? She takes the second vial of yellow liquid. Is this... I think I can continue the research with this. And the cider. I don't know if there's anything particularly about this.
Well, either way, yes and no. You need to find a more secure place to do your research.
Maybe your family home of some sort, or somewhere.
I don't get along with those people. But I suppose I could.
Maybe call in a favor?
I mean... Lavos, can she do it here?
I don't know that we're fully equipped. If we had an alchemical kind of research lab or an herbalism, then maybe. but we don't really have the means at the moment.
Hmm.
In regards to the elf thing, though, I may have someone I can speak to. It's a long shot. They may have no idea about this, but elves are tricky. How many do you know, Matilda?
Other than the one that tried to kill us, probably none.
Exactly.
Also, wasn't there
Usually
one
don't-
that we saw on the way to the farm? With
Yes.
the mobbits?
Did we see an elf on the way to the Salen's farm?
Oh, you guys saw like a procession of elves.
Yeah.
I tried to inquire with Selene about that. She told us it was best that we ignore her type of people. So, though I don't know if she actually knew what it was. She could have just thrown face.
Do you think that these drugs have anything to do with all the people that are going missing? Do you know anything about that? Are you the reason for that?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking Mama Mal and Pom Pom.
Not that I know. We don't typically deal too much in missing people. Especially not something random. But we have been hearing rumors from some customers who've been asking very similar questions, actually. It seems to be somewhat... There's quite a bit of it missing within the north, especially around the piers, which are now flooded, so I don't think very many people are going to be doing anything about that.
Have you noticed any patterns? In who's gone, other than it being in the pier? Is it like types of people? Or from certain families?
Not particularly, as far as I'm aware.
Well, either way, we can put our feelers out and see what we see. I don't doubt this might be all connected somehow. But right now it's still kind of on the back burner. Where is Morgan anyways?
Apparently going into the dungeon, that stupid idiot. I don't know how I'm supposed to help her find her brother if she keeps going in the dungeon. I just left her a message
somehow.
I left it in the office, a message for her in the office. She did say she needed to go do something with her family, and then all of a sudden she stopped contacting me, so I wonder if, like, something happened.
Perhaps. We'll have to figure that out in a bit, I guess. And he'll look towards her Mama Mal and Pom Pom and give them a smile. It was nice chatting with you all. I do need to excuse myself, though.
You see Pom Pom stand before you stand and just kind of reaches out a hand. Vincent Goldwater.
Can I quickly insight this individual? Are they more they don't seem like the touchy-feely type, do they? He wants to basically leave them with a good impression, like he always leaves people. So he's wondering if this is a handshake scenario or like
he reaches out a hand for a handshake, yeah.
Okay.
No insight required.
Cool. He'll take it. We'll shake his hand. Or their hand.
They give a nod. Pom Pom sits back down. And as you begin to excuse yourself from the room, Mal looks over towards you and says, "Farewell. If you find anything out about the elves, make sure to bring that to me right away."
I'll work on it, dear.
Right away.
Vincent will just kind of smile and leave the room.
I think that went well. He's going to bring it right away. Pom Pom's like, assuredly. And as the doorway closes, another door opens, and we find ourselves with Killian. Killian, as you have been pacing back and forth within the room, alongside Patience, who is now kind of just like, what's going on? What do you do? You've just received a message from Telka, reading... Let me go ahead and find this once more. I'm at the forest now, but the mercs left me here. Killian said not to talk to you, but I'm scared. What should I... And that's it.
I kind of like put my fingers up and stop pacing. And mentally I say, if third, run back to inn, no touch. If fourth ticking, touch cold tree. If fourth snowing, go forward, follow nothing. Otherwise, hide near entrance.
Ooh, I'm gonna roll investigation. That is a good use of the information. Okay. You send off this information, and do you speak aloud?
No, I'm like, I think Killian, in like almost every time she is spoken to telepathically, she makes a note not to like say anything out loud.
Killian, what's happening?
Once I'm finished the message, I say, okay, new thing to add. So you said that Yaga was seen recently. I just got a sending from her. She said that she was in the forest, and that the mercenaries had left her there, and that Killig said not to talk to me, which, let's face it, I already knew that was the case. But and that she's scared, that he's scared, and so I gave him some tips, just like really veiled kind of like hints, in case he's in the dungeon. But I don't know if that's the case. I just had to assume the worst case scenario, which that felt like the worst case scenario.
Are you certain it was Yaga?
It sounded like Yaga.
The spell also lets you know.
It's suspicious. How would Yaga send a sending message? I mean,
with a scroll, maybe?
They could have used an ashen spell scroll, but even then, that's a substantial gold cost. I don't like this. What did they say?
All right, what did you say?
Oh, did you freeze there?
No.
Just what did Yaga say?
Yaga said, I'm at the forest, but the mercs left me here. Killig said not to talk to you, but I'm scared. What should I? And then it got cut off.
Okay, there's only a few forests that could be. Mercs. I don't like this.
How much is a... I mean, you can get things... you can get sendings sent for gold. What about scryings? Can you see people?
That's somewhat incredibly illegal, but it's not as though I imagine it's impossible. Do you have anyone in connection with the underground? Maybe you shouldn't answer this question to me.
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I mean, I guess I need to ask. I mean, people that are with the underground aren't typically advertising that.
I will forget everything I heard here, and I want nothing more to do with it in an official capacity. I'm going to lean on some of my own friends, and I'll see what I can dig up. This worries me, Killian. I'm just being honest. So, do what you can. In the meantime, I'll contact you if I have any additional information.
Okay. I'm gonna be going into the dungeon soon. Is there any way that I can try to get onto a person's floor if I don't go down with them at the same time?
As far as I know, it's impossible.
What about the people that you can pay the money and then they go and find you? Is that retroactive? Can we pay for someone to then go and find him?
Absolutely. You can send someone into the dungeon. Head to the interface office when next you go in and try and send out a sending party for Yaga.
Do you know how much that costs?
It can be substantial. But for the most part, it depends on what floor you're sending them to. If you're sending them on a sweep, it can be upwards of 1,000 gold pieces.
Okay. Okay. I'll do that. Thanks. If I'm already in the dungeon by the time you're figuring stuff out, then I guess good luck.
Patience sits down and says, I'm breaking about a dozen rules with this, but it doesn't fucking matter right now. She writes down a list. She writes down several different locations that she believes this could be. She says, there's not very many places that mercenaries would rest in the dungeon, especially not forests. There's Deep Forest, the Sunset Forest. There's the entire 4th floor. I sincerely hope it's not anything to do with that. And there's the Redwood Forest on between the 6th and the 10th floors. There's several different variations. But here, she hands you this note, this information. She says, if you go down into the dungeon, these might be places to start. And for now, I have to go. She turns, reaches the threshold of her window and just dives. You see her hair turn like a flaming gold and her eyes just alight as she turns back towards you and looks at you, almost silhouetted by the light behind her and her glowing eyes. And she says, stay safe. And she dives out. And you are left here.
Window behind her.
You find yourself now in this office. And what is your next step? Like, where's your next travel destination?
I need to go talk to Lavos. So I'll be heading to the family home.
You hop back on your faithful steed and you run. As you travel back to Old Town proper. Vincent, Matilda, Jojo. The early morning comes and training begins. You see a hefty individual, just more muscle than man that stands before you. He's wearing this just kind of like thick hide gear that almost seems layered to the point where it's only protective because it would be very hard to get an axe through that many layers of hide, who is just running people through the ringer. I just need you to go ahead and roll a general athletics check for the nature of this, because this is basic conditioning.
And Gambit, help me. I am proficient. I have to imagine it's like a little like sweat rag.
Excellent. Go ahead and roll with advantage.
Oh yeah. 21.
21. You managed to keep up, and you can see the individual in the back corner who's like, come on, put your heart into it. Further, faster, harder, jump, jump. You see this whelp over here? Pathetic, yet still outrunning the lot of you. Come on, Sparks, you think you can't keep this? You see individuals, those who are wearing just like normal fatigues, and those who are wearing like normal clothing. You see that you were sent off by Max with no issue whatsoever of clothes you were supposed to wear, but the rest of the people are wearing these just like very uncomfortable and scratchy looking fatigues. The individual stops you mid-run, is like, what do you think you're doing in casuals?
I didn't get no clothes. I just started.
50 more laps.
Okay.
And if you're not finished by breakfast, no food.
Okay.
Run.
She's already gone.
You begin to just dash past. You have this flump that's just kind of like attached itself to your head and is every now and then just squeegeeing to make it so that it's as comfortable as possible. With your 21, in the 50 additional laps around the exterior training room, which you can see it's just kind of this forested path with a canopy over top to like guard you from the open sky. You finish pretty much at the same time as the other people. You've lapped them. It's about 3 hours of this constant trail running, jumping over hurdles, making your way through just like actual rugged forest trail. And then as you reach the end, counting out your laps, you basically end just in front of that human who has finished after several hours of training. Post this, you see the guy who was training you before, very, very like thick beard that comes down, bald head. His tattoos kind of like come straight down in a line down his head before branching down towards his eyes and spiraling underneath.
Ooh.
He looks over at you and he says, 50 laps.
Yeah.
Not bad. Here. He pulls out a chair at the table, and as you all begin to sit, you feel in this first foray into this training session, you see 10 to 15 people surrounding you. Open table at the back of this windswept open plain, this grassy plain. And as you eat, everyone remains in just abject silence. Till eventually someone speaks up, looks over towards the lot of you and says, "All right, whelps. You don't need to worry too much. Not anymore." As a emerald wearing, very lithe woman stands. She looks over towards the lot of you, and she like scours across in these just almost inhuman movements. As you glance at her with your passive perception, you see her form begin to waver, just like flicker in and out. And underneath the form, you see a kobold who is standing atop this this table to make themselves look like a halfling or some form, wearing a ceremonial headdress in some kind that seems to be generating this illusion. And they say, "You've made it this far into basic training. My name is Esmeralda. And if you plan on surviving any longer, eat up and make sure you keep your food in a pouch at your waist at all times. Eventually, they promised us that we would be allowed to go underground, and it can't come fast enough." I didn't have a reason to start speaking. Continue eating, and they sit back down. All the rest of the whelps just begin clapping, and then they stop. And you can see this kind of just strange dance go on of the people who have the authority to speak are, even if they have no reason to. Training comes to a abrupt halt, and as people begin to get ready to leave, like packing their bags and such, returning to their rooms, everyone just covered in sweat and drenched from the exercises, but you feel pretty refreshed. Having actually traversed the dungeon is quite taxing in comparison to this early morning training.
Yeah, also not that different from her normal morning
early morning training. Yeah.
Just another day, just a different place.
But you can see you return to kind of your room, and the human and the elf kind of remain in this just quiet until eventually the human walks up towards the elven woman and gives a nod. She gives a nod back, and then the two kind of throw a pack over their shoulder as they begin to move out of the room.
Hey, can I ask you guys something? Max said no missions in the morning, but what if we need to go like in the dungeon or something? You have to like tell them?
You gotta request leave for the most part.
Okay, cool.
Just give them a general idea how long you're gonna be gone, and then they're gonna whip your ass when you get back.
How, ahead of time do you have to let them know? Like if, let's say I possibly was planning on going in tomorrow, is that gonna happen?
Max did not give you the information, did he?
No, not at all. No one's told me shit.
Go to his office. Top drawer of his desk, you'll find a pamphlet. Not a pamphlet. What's it called? An envelope. There should be information in there for you.
Okay. Can I insight check?
Go ahead and roll insight.
It seems like some type of trick the newbie into breaking into his office.
Roll insight.
Come on, let's go.
Ooh, 18.
Yeah, they do not seem to have your best interests in mind.
Shit. Yeah, so if I tell Max that you told me to go in there, then that's all good? Okay, great. I'll go tell him.
Sounds
okay,
good.
Great.
See you soon.
See ya.
They turn, they leave. The elven woman kind of just continues looking at you for a brief moment and gets like maybe a little bit uncomfortably close as she just examines you.
Hey, I'm Jojo. Can I help you?
Maybe.
Okay.
She turns and moves over and says, "Let's go, Arthur." And the two leave.
Bye.
See ya. Arthur raises a hand. You find yourself now alone within the bunk. This bunk has basically just been the three of you as far as you can tell. The rest of the beds are made with empty foot lockers.
I think she will actually try and find Max again and be like, hey, I was told there's an envelope and I think they were bullshitting me to try and make me go into your office, but I actually do want an envelope of information if that is a real thing.
I don't know whether to demerit you or...
Wait, why?
I mean,
What'd I do?
I'm glad you're sharing this with me. The hazing thing can get out of control. You just snitched on your friends. You've known them for days. How could you possibly do something like that?
Oh no. I didn't tell you who did it.
Oh, that's right. Shit. Tell me who did it or I'm going to give you a demerit.
Nah. Well,
Piece of shit.
You're going to give me a demerit if I do.
He throws down a manila envelope, very thick. And kind of just you take a small red ribbon and undo it, pop it open and take a look inside, and there's several different missives. You can see that there's a ton of different individual kind of like one-page quest sheets that have been set aside. And then he looks in, grabs all the quest sheets and just tears them out of the envelope slowly. So there's like 2 or 3 pieces of paper left and just places them under his desk. He says, not for you, not yet. In there, you'll find your basic schedules, situations that you will need to, protocols that you'll need to follow, and various different. And then he kind of starts sentences without finishing them over and over again. It's mildly infuriating. Anyway, any questions? Right there, you'll find a few documents. Also, he reaches down, takes out a wooden coin, and places it on there, slides it towards you. It's got a symbol of a silver lightning bolt on it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your mark. Keep a hold of this. It'll get you in some places. Not very many. But signifies that you're a member. Not quite a whelp yet. But
below whelp. What's below whelp?
Member.
Oh.
You don't get a fucking title. You gotta earn that shit. And he leans back. Now, out you go.
Okay.
Arthur told me you got a dungeon thing to do tomorrow, yeah?
I don't know if we nailed that down, but I'm gonna say yes. And if it's not a thing, I'll be here.
Cheers.
Yep.
You leave the guild hall and make your way out into the city once more, heading back towards the family home. You now, in the early morning of the second day, after morning training, Jojo returns to the family home. Killian, mildly frazzled. Matilda, Pom Pom, and Mama Mal have recently left to go look towards gathering a bit more information for themselves. And Vincent Carson has prepared several things, but has now gone out to begin to work the rest of what it was you needed doing.
Sure.
Earlier that night, you had a dinner to go to, so we can dive into that one here before we move into the next morning. So the night before, after Pom Pom and Mama Mal had left, what do? You wanted to speak to your mother first?
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't think it was the evening. I thought it was the afternoon. So just Carson's at the checkup on my mother, so I wanted to see what was going on.
She just has been missing you. As you approach her, she kind of sits down with some I would say early needlepoint, and you can see that she's been kind of attempting to practice the piano downstairs, but she's always kind of been more of a harpsichord kind of person. As you approach, she just kind of gives you a big hug and kiss and says, You've been away so long. I've been wondering, it's been very nice here, but it's just, I figured that we could perhaps go out sometime. I wanted to see your, like the gardens and the lake.
Where does Vincent think that she is referring to?
She's referring basically to the interior of Old Town. She's not super comfortable with exteriors, but there's a lot to explore here.
Okay. Of course. Sorry. With dungeon stuff and, business, things have been a bit busy of late. But I have the next couple of hours. Have you eaten? We can have a little bit of a late lunch and maybe walk around the grounds. Wouldn't mind catching up.
Carson prepared me a day dress. Here, allow me to place it on. Oh, this is going to be so fun. And then she heads upstairs. Or her bedroom's on the first floor. She heads to her bedroom. And she prepares a fine, like, white day dress that she approaches you with a large sun hat and kind of like a shawl that she uses to cover her head down to her shoulders and drapes down. And the two of you begin to move out across Old Town. As you begin to survey, you see that there's a lot of work to be done yet. You guys like travel around and approach the lake, and you can see that the exterior of it's just like branches and muck and scum. And then like some flowers and moss are growing out of the outside of it. The walls themselves are somewhat untended, and there's portions of the area that have been reinforced by Lavos. But for the most part, Old Town itself is still not up to snuff. As you move through the forests, some like wildflowers are blooming, and your mother takes a few, and it's some fine memories, some just nice, calm days to circumvent the rough days of the dungeon.
He'll just do some idle chit chat with her, let her know that the Emperor's changed. She usually likes to keep up with like random gossip around the city when she used to live up in the Dennery, so he'll fill her in on the bigger exciting parts.
Goodness, think of the balls that are going to be thrown in celebration. Even if the current nobility has somewhat taken a sovereign state against, just think of the revelry that will come, the gold that will be spent over the coming days.
Yes, it's quite a change, especially him taking a ash bond. Quite symbolizes some things for the future, but I think it's for the best.
This is a big difference. The fact that the church would even allow such a thing. The Altician Church has always taken a stance against the dungeon. To say that the Emperor himself has taken a bond, this is nothing short of a change in history. There's been more than enough changes in history lately. She kind of takes a sip of a tea.
Well, I was curious. Is there anything you've been hoping for, aside from seeing my pretty face here and there more often, which I'll try to remember to schedule that in, per se. Like I said, things have been busy of late. I want to make sure you have everything you need here.
I've been treated more than perfect. I want to see you around. It's been very nice to be able to take part in your life like this. I suppose I just get melancholic.
If it helps, I could get Alexi and Lily to visit when I'm, traversing the dungeon and stuff.
I would love that.
I know you haven't seen at least Lily in quite a while.
It's a lovely girl. I don't... They're made for each other, those two. They're practically a statue.
Yeah, we've drawn many paintings of them together. Quite the pair.
That's what I want. Let's paint something together.
Oh, you denied me my last time I asked to paint you, but Vincent will look around towards the pond where the flowers were growing. Let's paint this one for now.
Carson's just like, I thought something like this might happen. He prepares 2 easels and 2 paint sets from the back of the carriage as the two of you sit and begin to paint. Go ahead and roll a painter's tools proficiency. You can use charisma, wisdom, or int if you like. Constitution if you want this to take the rest of the day.
He'll probably only be able to do this for a couple hours because he does have a dinner tonight. I do get to add my proficiency to this, so that's another +3.
18? Like mother like son, you guys stride for stride make, though in very different styles, 2 very beautiful paintings. Equivalently, like emotionally driven, and you can see the difference in kind of perspectives, even just from a few shifting feet to the right. One person kind of gets this spark of light across the side of their easel, and it carries through the painting. But as the two of you sit, and your mother seems just excited by the nature of this visit, she is taken back to the home after a brief bout of exhaustion. And with a smile, she sees you off and heads towards her room. Carson looks towards you and says, "A lovely woman, sincerely."
Yes, my mother is. Come on, Carson. We have things to get to. Kind of ignoring talking about his mother with him.
And as the camera pulls away, what is the rest of the party doing in this instance?
Like the morning after, like when Jojo's like come back to the family home now?
Absolutely. This is basically just kind of shifting around the timelines of when these things occur in your guys' kind of city downtime situation. If there's no specific timeline that is needed, it's pretty just Mobius.
Well, I know Killian was running back, so I doubt we would skip over that. So that's probably the next thing that happens, unless Jojo has something very specific.
Nope, I've got nothing.
But Mama Mal and Pom Pom have left, right? So far?
They have left to go kind of look into a bit more of this.
Okay. Before they did leave, Matilda would have said probably you should write your research in a code or a cipher, and then they should probably make an ink or add something to the book that if you handle it without gloves or something, it's poisonous. So it's not good because both of them always wear gloves because of their profession. So it'll be really weird if they're constantly wearing gloves while writing in it. But then if somebody else comes in contact with it without it, it's a bad time. So it's a consequence if they try to steal the next book of notes.
I am amazed. I had not thought of this before. How absolutely nefarious.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of like takes you, he just like grabs by the chin and just pokes you and is just like, little troublemaker. Or damn it.
You'll get it, don't worry. Okay.
As you lean back and you can see Pom Pom and Mom Mal already kind of concocting. They're just like, well, we have Wolfsbane at home.
Yeah.
Wolfsbane leaves a terrible taste. People will know immediately as they just begin to move back and forth between poison talks. You now find yourself here. And as they are leaving, Killian, you kind of stride past them in the forest and arrive at Old Town.
Okay. I just wander straight into the manor looking for Lavos.
You pass by everybody at this point. As everyone, save for Vincent, I'm not entirely certain where in the timeline all of this is taking place.
It would take her like an hour or so to get back here. We could say like we were in the middle of painting. If I heard a commotion near the house, I could have left a little early.
So this is the next day. Yeah. So like you've already gone and met with Regis. This would be the next day.
Oh,
so
okay.
Your Regis meeting will basically be a flashback. But Killian, you arrive in a huff in this instance.
Hey, you okay?
I'm fine. Everyone else, not great. And that's about as much information as I give Jojo as I continue. And I turn around and I go, have you seen Lavos?
Yeah. I mean, he can hear us in this house, right? Lavos!
Doorway opens. Right, yeah. Everyone's...
Hey.
All right, hello.
There's things I need to talk to you about. Some of them private, but other ones not. So I'll do the not first. I was gonna say Yaga sent me, but maybe not Yaga. Patience doesn't trust it. Yaga sent me ascending. He said that he's in the dungeon. Or no, sorry. He said that he was in the forest and that mercenaries had left him behind and that he was scared. I assumed that he was in a forest, so I sent some vague clues, hoping that he can put them together and get to safety if he's somewhere that we've been before. I also think that something's happening on the 10th floor, and I let Patience know that, and she's gonna look into it. And then also, I need money because I want to send a sweeping scout party through the dungeon to see if they can find Yaga before we go in, because we can't find people specifically and maybe they can. And then there's one other thing that I want to tell you, but I can't because Jojo's here.
What? Sorry? I don't know. You got secrets from me?
She just like wiggles in a panicked way when you say
go.
that you have secrets from her.
Yeah, I could go. Oh man, you're like my dad. Okay, I'm not listening. I'm out of here. Have a good talk.
Yeah, Jojo, get out.
You come too, and she grabs him and picks you up.
With the book. You go over and pick up Matilda.
Yeah, I pick up Matilda and I bring her with me.
Okay. So there's just Lavos and I?
Lavos looks towards you and says, first thing, I was to say this, from my understanding of sending, if you know the person who sent it, then it's them. I don't think that can be forged, so it should be Yaga.
Okay, so it's not a trap, it's just someone in trouble. That's heartening.
Yeah, I mean,
word?
I don't know. Maybe it is a trap. I don't know which would be the lesser evil here. If a friend is trying to trap you or a friend is in trouble. I'd prefer the trap, because I think that maybe you could talk to them and figure it out, but I'm rambling. What were you going to say?
She, looks around, and knowing full well that, we have an invisible imp on the premises most of the time, is just So I think that the reason that I think that there's something wrong in the 10th floor is because I think that we met a person in the dungeon who had said that, we did meet a person in the dungeon who had said that he had seen a whole bunch of goblins, some goblins with a bunch of other people, and we can only assume that it has to do with the farm and the kidnapping and the fact that they're missing, but then also that he saw a different goblin and they were coming down from the top, which means something's bad, right? If someone is trying to leave the 10th floor, who knows how many times they've tried to do it, but I think it's my sister. And when I had the opportunity to try to help her or maybe find her, I lied to Jojo in the dungeon. It worked out because we all met up anyway, but if it hadn't worked out, then I would have put Jojo into danger, and it would have been because I was selfish and I didn't even think twice about it. I just did it. And it goes against it goes into my nature as a goblin, and it's awful, and I hate it, and I hate myself, and I'm trying to help people, but I'm doing badly at it.
That's all that matters, though, Killian. As you're doing what you can. You're trying to help. One way or the other. The fact that you're talking to me about this right now like this, your heart's in the right place. Sometimes we don't achieve the results we like. Sometimes it goes against what we wanted to do in the first place. We gotta learn, and we can't dig in too much into our failings. Gotta make sure that those failures don't keep us from walking down the right path, no matter how bumpy it is. You shouldn't have lied to Jojo. You should be honest. You gotta trust. However much help you wanted to put in, you don't know how much your friends could have added to the mix. But you're doing good by talking to me right now about this, so... How much gold did you need to put in that search? I can tell this is important to you.
I don't know. A day ago, he didn't want to be found. So, is it worth 1,000 gold to find someone who left and didn't say goodbye and doesn't want to be found except for when they're in trouble because they've been left behind by their stupid new friends?
That's not a question I can answer.
I mean, I have some gold on me. I don't think I need that much. Maybe 200, if it's as expensive as I think it's gonna be.
He pops open the small box on his desk and provides 20 gold or platinum pieces.
Just so you know, Killian, last session at the end of it, you gained some gold. I don't think you got it.
Yes, I am taking that into account.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah, that had been sent off session. Thank you for the reminder, though. You can add 20 platinum pieces to your sheet. I'll subtract that here.
Are you done telling secrets?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Before you guys enter in, he looks towards you, Killian, and says, "You should tell Jojo the truth."
Yeah. Yeah.
Lavo stands and kind of just brings himself to the side, pulls out a bunch of chairs, and surrounds his desk. And you guys enter in.
What were you talking about?
There's not much point in making us leave the room if we're gonna make them tell what they're talking about as soon as we go back in, Matilda.
No, I need to tell you, so that it stops weighing down on me. Everyone take a seat. Is Vincent here?
Vincent, you can be. Timeline-wise, this would have, like, over the course of these 2 days, like, there's multiple times
of the next day, right? Yeah, he would have come back here because he had his meeting with Tristan in the morning and then was going to make his way back here to speak about the dungeon. So he'd be here. He's probably like in the other room, so I don't know if you're going to yell out for him.
Yeah, I saw him in the other room. Hang on.
He just like comes into the room and he's like rubbing his hands with a handkerchief, like wiping some paint off or something. You guys don't appear to be dying. What's the commotion, Matilda?
We're sharing secrets. Come on.
Okay.
Then he like assesses the situation and I'll be 1 second. And he'll go back into the room and just hear some like shuffling of things and then he'll walk back in and he's all cleaned up. And he'll take a seat on the couch. Okay. What have I missed?
So Killian doesn't sit. She like paces back and forth. She says, when we were in the dungeon and we were talking with the merchant, I don't know if I can use names outside of the dungeon, so I'm just going to keep using different terms. The merchant talked about goblins, and then, so we were like, oh, well, that's probably the goblins that have gone missing and going up to the next floor. But then he mentioned the other person, the other goblin, and I have a sister on the 10th floor. We traveled together with the brood and everyone and patience, and we came down to the city, but on one of the last floors I got distracted and I touched something, and like at that moment she like gets like a dawning like sensation, like it was probably the inn that she touched something when she was distracted. She's like, I touched something. And then a monster attacked me, but my sister pushed me out of the way and we couldn't save her. And so, well, when monsters, then when they're not in the city, they go back. They return to the 10th floor, and we couldn't. So she's been up there and we've been down here. But if she's been trying this whole time, like that could have been her with the knife. So I specifically, because we asked where we had last seen that person, I told Jojo in this ending to go into that direction. I didn't even know if it was like the most direct route. We had the things, the mounts. We could have just gone up and down the cliff and been done with it. And then we got chased by all those things. But then we didn't find her, and then so it was all a waste, and I lied, and I put us in danger. I put Jojo and Matilda in danger, and I lied to you in the dungeon. And then we survived, which is good, but
That's it?
Killian, dear, I know you're upset. I think it's best if you sit down. Vincent will gesture to a seat across from him.
as soon as you say sit down, she just plops onto the floor.
Why didn't you just tell us all of this then?
Because I don't know.
I mean, not in the sending, because I know the 25 words thing, so that'd be hard to explain. But like after that,
She's telling us now. Sometimes it's not the time to have those conversations, especially when you're in the dungeon.
well, she told us in the dungeon we could have looked for her.
No, that's what everyone keeps telling me. I wasn't thinking, it just, as soon as I heard that she might be there, all rational thought just flew out of my mind, and I didn't want to, well, let's face it, everyone that, like, your Mama Mal has been broken into, and your mom went missing, and your grandfather's trying to kill you, or at least the people that that are trying to date him are trying to kill you. And so, like, when I involve family, look at all my broodmates. They're missing, and they may be in the dungeon or dead or hiding in a forest somewhere. So I just figured keeping a family-related thing to myself might just be easier and safer.
Okay.
I can understand the need and the want to keep secrets, dear. But you gotta assess these things. We're here to help. I think you gotta put more weight on what family really means in these regards.
I take comfort in the fact that a lot of these things probably still would have occurred, regardless of the fact if I had gotten an ash bond. Vince's grandfather and that lady still would have wanted to kill him, regardless of being.
Dear, that has nothing to do with the dungeon.
Yeah, and then same thing with JoJo's mom. She's an idiot and probably would have gotten lost anyway. Yeah. Anyway, and my parents do things all the time that would lead to their research being stolen. So a lot of these things don't have anything to do with us being part of Lavos' family. And considering what I've heard, I don't know if you being in this family or going in the dungeon would have really affected what's happened. Sometimes things are already in motion. You know what I mean? So, but it's okay to want to keep things separate too. I understand that.
Well, that's all I know.
So what now?
I think as Vincent looks at Killian, he can still tell that she's a little bit upset. And as he tilts his head at her, and he'll make himself look more comfortable on the couch, he's gonna subtly cast command on her while he's saying this. I think it's about time that we all just calm down here. Take a deep breath and figure out what you need, Killian. And he's gonna do it on the word calm.
Well, Killian has already been calmed magically in the last 24 hours once. She probably isn't gonna resist. She's gonna kind of relax, just lean back a little bit.
Yeah, you're right, Vincent. So what do we need to do now? What do you need from us, Kill?
Well, I told Patience that I don't think everything's right on the 10th floor. She's gonna look into it. She has some contacts. She might even go up there, but it'll take her a week or so. And I was gonna send the sweeping party from the dungeon when we go in, because at this point it's not going to be that much longer for us to go in, but at least we can do it at the same time and not waste time. But does anyone know how to scry on someone?
No.
I've heard of these type of capabilities, but
Patience said it was illegal.
If we are getting a party to go through, I would like for Sylvia to be the one that picks it, because she would probably find people that would be kind and actually do their job in finding a goblin and bring them back, because I don't trust anyone else would do it properly other than us.
That's fine. I think we'd have to go through a dungeon keeper for this request anyways.
Mm-hmm.
As for the 10th floor thing, Killian, just so happens Lavos has given us a new quest. It requires us to get up to the 10th floor. As much as I trust your friend Patience, getting up there is a bit of a difficult task. So, why don't we take a two-prong approach and go up there ourselves as well?
That's all I had left to do was get ready to go into the dungeon again, so sure. Let's do it.
Did you keep your sister's monster core by chance?
She doesn't. I don't think that's how it works.
Because you said that when she was in the dungeon, right? And you pass on and they go, she technically would have left a core behind, yeah?
I don't think that's only for the Ashen monsters, right?
I guess, question then, Adrian. When the 10th floor was under attack from divers, and all of us were getting killed left, right, and center, did we leave behind cores?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
You did not.
And as long as I remember that, Killian would say as such.
Lavos is also thinking on the scry, and he's like, as far as I'm aware, you need either... it's pretty high rank. It'd probably be 3rd rank at least that we would need someone to cast a spell like that.
Also, at least from my understandings from a mortal's perspective, disregarding what gods can do, because they can feel like they do what they want. I don't think you can scry on people if they're, not in the same plane of existence from you. So if it's within the dungeon, it's going to be a bit tricky.
We'll see what I can try and dig up. A 3rd rank with what we currently have available as a family seems far-fetched, but it can't hurt to look.
Lavos, you can get into people's dreams, right?
Alright.
You do that across planas?
Yeah, the ethereal plane connects us all, It's very ephemeral like that.
Everyone needs to sleep. Well, mostly everyone. And he'll look over towards Matilda. Maybe you can try to connect to them through there, instead of trying to find some third party to get involved.
Yeah, give me everything you know about... here, I could take it one step further. Tell me everything you know about Yaga, everything you know about him, and tell me everything you know about Talca, his sister. Then he kind of sits back and requests as much information as you can provide for these two individuals as you guys sit over the course of a few minutes.
Do you have all the gold you need for that call to aid? Call to arms? Which one is it?
CFA is a call for aid. A CTA is a call to arms. And both are basically like a call for aid is a specific family. A call to arms is just any family can take this quest.
You need more cash? I got more cash.
I'll need to make a stop at the bank, but I think I have enough. I borrowed 200 from the family funds, just in case it's more expensive or as expensive as I think it will be.
Well, I don't know what you guys have planned this afternoon, but I think we should start supplying up and head out. Go in this evening.
Oh, in this evening?
Does anyone else have better dinner plans, or? Then it's a date.
Okay, we better go shopping.
Yeah, you're still wearing kind of like the slip-ons.
Yeah.
In the back of her, or in the back of his head, Vincent's going to call for Carson. Can you get a carriage ready? The one from outside. Also, Lavos, this will be out loud. Who's the new stable boy?
Oh yeah, I haven't introduced you to him. I kind of thought that I would have him, just scramble a bit and eventually introduce himself. He seems a little bit shy. His name is... let me get my notes here. You got Phelan Frost. I'll write that in here. The only thing I really have on him is Stable Boy.
Interesting.
He's a rare breed. He's a half-elf, but...
Well, they're not super rare, dear.
Oh, he's a northern orphan. That's what's rare about him. Elves typically don't go that far north.
Interesting. Outside of the city.
Past the Blue Peaks, as far as he tells it.
Okay. Well, we'll go say hi, I guess, when we take the carriage into town.
Aye, and Carson opens the door, and just in time to kind of give a bow, completely unprompted, nobody knows what's going on, and then he closes the door again, and makes his way down to summon the carriage.
Well, Vincent will stand up and start gathering a couple things and head out.
And as you all prepare to move into this next leg, Vincent, you exit the front door, kind of like the door, you open it in front of you, and then the scene changes, and it's the night previous as you are. So tell me, your next scene, is that with, do you wish to go to Regis, or do you wish to speak to...
Regis would have been the dinner, yes.
What's the name, though? I'm forgetting the name of the other person. Tristan, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you open the door, you find yourself in a new home. The one that Regis had previously had, which was like dug into the ground, has been abandoned. As you follow the information on his card to find his new home, following ciphers based on the week itself and the date, you enter into... this one actually has a floor, which is a big improvement to his previous workshop, but you find a staircase leading down into the basement in the back, where you hear, I'm just down here, you can come down here if you like. And as soon as you reach the staircase, you see that it's just destroyed, leading down into a pit once more that has been hand dug out. But as you look down and you see Regis, there's a small table set up in the middle of this just workshop, and it's just awkwardly a few candles placed down. Regis is standing in the corner wearing a tuxedo, the best clothing he has. As he looks up and he says, hello, time for dinner. I've made food. As you look down upon him, that is where we will end today's session. And as we prepare for these nights of pleasantries among fantastic friends, years of history, the two of you, you wait your turn, Candace. Thank you all for coming. And until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was a 25 dexterity roll right there, Candace. Bye, everybody.